Hello everyone. I'm going to show you an example of how I've reused some sounds in this project to create new effects. This is something that I've talked about numerous times. I've made multiple videos about this, but I just think it's really important, and in my opinion, it's a good habit to get into. First of all, resampling yourself and reusing parts to create effects, they're instantly just going to gel with your track because they're sourced from sounds that are already working in your project. And anything is really fair game here. I mean, you could use melodic content, you could use bass, you could do, percussion, vocals, really anything's fair game to kind of rework, manipulate, and make new ideas out of. Secondly, it's going to set yourself apart. It's going to give your track a more professional touch and feel because you're not just grabbing some bog standard effect sound from a sample pack that maybe thousands of producers have access to. You're actually taking the time to make your own effects, and so they're going to be unique to you, and that's going to give your music, that much more of your own personal touch and professionalism. So I think it's a good habit to get into, and I thought I would show you like a real world example of how I've, reused and resampled myself to create a new effect sound. And this track's going to be released in a few months. So I thought I'd show you an example here. Okay, so let's get into it. So I actually, normally do this like in the arrangement phase when I'm making and placing effects, but in this particular example, I was actually working on the mix down, and I thought, this impact, this drop right here just doesn't have the impact that I want it to have. So I came back into the arrangement project, which we're in right now, and sampled a sound which I made a impact effect sound out of. So what I'm going to do is just take a little snip of this lead sound here. So I'm just going to take this last note is all I want. And this note is the D note. This track's in D minor. Here's what it sounds like. Okay. And we're just going to sample that one note and then rework it a little bit. And I'll show you how it turned out in the context of the track. But first of all, I want to open this up a little bit so we have a more, frequency rich sound. So I'm just going to push up the cutoff a little bit. And I'm also going to open up the filter decay as well. Something like that might work. Let's hear that. Yes, we got a little bit more high frequency content coming through there. Cool. So what I'm going to do here is actually sample or record this on the synth bus because I want all those delay tails and everything in this recording. So I have this lead. I mean, there's some processing on it, and then I'm also running it through, a delay reverb track. I'm running it through a chorus. I'm running it through a parallel compression, and it's all ending up here on the synth bus. So this is where I want to record. I'm just going to hold Shift E to bring up Edison. That was a nice little tip from a subscriber. So thank you, whoever mentioned that in the comments. I've been using that a lot, saving me some time. So grab Edison, and I'm going to just push up the level a little bit so we get a little bit more volume coming in. And we'll just record a little take of this one note here. Here we go. I'm just going to go back right there. And I want to capture a fair bit of that tail. Okay. And I'll just stop this. I'm just going to trim this up a little bit. Zoom right in. And I'm just going to go to the first zero crossing point. Zoom in a little bit more. Right there. And just Control X to trim that up. And then we'll just grab this whole clip, bring it into the playlist. Now I want to make this exactly 8 bars. And I'll tell you why in just a second. But I'm just going to trim this up and make it exactly 8 bars. So then I would just go right click and go make unique as sample, and then you could save it wherever. I've already done this. So we're just going to use the one that I've already made, but that's what I did. Save it as a new sample there. And then we're going to hop into another project, and I'll show you how I've kind of manipulated this a little bit and actually how it sounds in the context of the track. So I will see you in a second. I'm going to hop over to another project. Here we go. Okay, so I'm in another project. This is actually the Mixdown project here, but I have our lead impact sound that we just recorded, and we're going to do a few more things here. So the reason why I wanted it exactly 8 bars is because my thought was to stretch it out to actually double it in length, and by doubling it exactly, that's just going to pitch it down as well, 1 octave when you stretch it out, because I wanted to keep it in key. So let's do that. Oh, well, you could just engage the stretch, which it already is, and then we're just going to extend this out so it's a 16 bar clip now. And here's what it sounds like now. There you go. I think that stretching out those reverb and delay tails, I thought it would really maybe sound quite nice over top of the, original lead. So I think that works quite well. My actually original thought too was also to pitch it back up to its original pitch, using something like the sound shifter from Waves or like maybe a little Alter Boy or something. But I was playing around with it, and I actually found that I really liked it pitched up 2 semitones as well, to the E instead. I did end up leaving a little bit of that of the dry signal in there, so we have that lower octave D and then mostly the E, with a lot of drive here. So here's what it sounds like now. And that drive kind of grunges it up a little bit. The E note is a fairly prominent note in that lead kind of riff, so I thought it works quite well. And it gives a little bit of a different vibe because it's not the root note, it's not the 5th either, so I think it works quite well. And then there was just a little bit of EQ here, just rolling off everything below, almost 600 hertz. I didn't need any of that down there. I had plenty going on in that region, so I just cut that out. Took care of a little resonating frequency here that was bugging me. Rolled off some of the top end and layered that in, and it really did exactly what I wanted it to do. It gave this drop the impact that I needed, and it fits perfect because it's sourced from the main lead sound in the track. So let's hear it in context. We'll just play it from right here, and here's what it sounds like in the context of the track. Here we go. There you go. I think that like stretched out sound really works quite well over top of everything else. So that's just an example of how I've, repurposed, resampled myself to create a new effect sound. I mean, really the possibilities are endless here, but it's a good mindset to get into, to instead of thinking first off, I'm just going to go through samples and try and find an effect sound or whatever, just make your own. It's going to be quicker sometimes, but it's going to be unique to you. It's going to fit, and it's going to give your tracks that little extra professional touch. So hopefully you found that useful. We'll see you next time. Take care.